Yeah, this is looking like an inside job, Muggsy. Yes, it is a rainy day aboard Boogaboo, but that's okay because we're only still in April and the boat has only been launched now for less than a week. Geez, yeah, it'll be a week tomorrow. So I'm going to take advantage of this off weather day, shall we say, to do some inside work. And a project that I've been looking forward to do since last year. It's actually an extension of a job that I started last year, but had been having trouble finding parts, and that is replace these hatch covers on this beautiful boat. For those of you who have been around the channel for a few years, you may recall that on our last boat, our 330 Sundancer, I installed the Skyscreen Hatch Covers on that boat just to help block out the sun, and they work great. We were really happy with them and wanted to do the same on this boat. Now this boat was factory equipped with Skyscreen Hatch Covers, but they are the old style from way back in 1998 when this boat was bought new, and they have well, I don't want to say that they've deteriorated, but they're past their life cycle. Now this boat is the same vintage as our last boat. It's a 1998 model year. The last boat didn't have any hatch covers. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the video that I did with that, just to show you that we had nothing, and all it was like pop-in screens that we're actually putting towels in to block out the sun. And so upgrading to actual manufactured hatch covers was phenomenal. But as you can see with this one, that it doesn't provide 100% daylight blocking capabilities out of them. I don't know if these have faded over the years. These would have been factory original, given the fact that the boat is 25 years old. It's entirely possible that this has just started fading. I don't know. Possibly that this is how they did it back then. But the new ones are totally sunlight, daylight blocking, which is really important to us. So when we bought this boat last year, one of the first projects I did was putting one of those proper Skyscreen hatch covers over the bed in our master bedroom, and that really helps, especially given the fact that, you know, it starts getting light out at around 4:30 in the morning come summertime. And so with it getting brighter, it's more difficult to sleep. And also having a little kitty cat aboard the boat, as soon as it starts to get light out, you know, he wants to get up, and, you know, if he's up, everybody should be up. You know what I'm saying? So having that over the bed was really good. However, that said, with these covers, they don't block out 100% of the light, so we wanted to replace all of them. Problem is, the interior of this boat is basically beige, and these units have been discontinued in the beige line. So all we were able to find was a beige one for the front hatch, and another beige one for the smaller hatch. But finding the third one for the bigger hatch was nearly impossible. I shouldn't say impossible. Anchor Girl was able to find one on the West Marine website, and being back and forth with them, they said, because she put in an order and then it didn't come, and back and forth with emails, only to learn that West Marine doesn't want to ship to Canada, where we are located, which is absolutely mind-blowing. What differences, in my mind, what difference does it make whether you're shipping it across the street, across town, or into another country? It goes to the same shipper, and it's their problem, and the purchaser pays for the shipping. So I don't know. So anyways, unable to find any old stock, any new old stock of these units in beige. Can you see that? I finally got in touch with Dometic, who is the current manufacturer of these things. The original manufacturer was, I guess, bought out by Dometic. So I think it's the same people building them. It's just under the Dometic line. And as most of you boating people will know, Dometic is the main guys in the boat parts industry. So I got in touch with them, explained the situation, and they were gracious enough to actually sell me one of those things and ship it to me. And I got it within a few days, and it was awesome. So today, given the fact that, like I said, it's a rainy kind of day, I am going to tackle this job and show you how easy it is. Now, before I take out the old units, I'm just going to show you again what they look like with the block out screen closed. So as you can see, there is, even with these things closed, there's still quite a bit of ambient light that is being able to penetrate through this and lighting up the space. Now, just for contrast, you can see the one in the background, which is in the master stateroom. That is 2/3 closed, 3/4 closed. Let me close it all the way, and I'm going to show you. Oh, sorry if the camera's bouncing around a lot, but look at that. So I'm just going to close the door. Look at virtually no light coming through there, which is great, which is what we want. So removing these old hatch covers is pretty darn simple. There is just 4 removable clips, 1 in each corner. So I can take those down, and then I can drop this whole old unit out. See, these corner pieces are just snapped in with these little speed clip snap thingy poos. So I'm just popping all those 4 off. And then you can see there's mounting screws in each corner. Now, the new ones are going to be slightly different configuration than what we have going on here, but that's okay. So I just use a really thin pry bar, which you can get at any hardware store. Actually, look for these in the paint department. That's where I find them. And they just get in behind those little clips and they just snap off. And so, like I say, now that I got all 4 of those pieces unsnapped or out of the way, I'll just pull those screws out. See, there it is. The name I was struggling to remember, Ocean Air, was the original manufacturer. And like I say, I'm pretty sure it's still the same company. It's just under the Dometic brand. Anyways, as you can see, this was date 1997 this was built. Stands to reason because this was the boat's in 1998. Now this is super easy to put together because the 4 pieces simply snap together. And once they're in position, you'll see there are 4 little corner pieces that kind of lock everything together. Now I had to use a pair of needle nose pliers just to snap those in, and it was good to go. Now once that was all put together and snapped together, I checked to make sure that they were operating correctly before actually installing them, and discovered that the darker side, the blackout screen side of it, was a little bit loose. And looking at the instructions, I determined how that one can adjust to make them either close a little bit harder or with not so much force. There's a little bit of fooling around to figure that out because the instructions are just those pictographs, because obviously these things are designed for multiple markets where English isn't necessarily the language of choice in that market. So rather than putting them in 3 or 4 or 5 different languages written it out, they just give you the pictures. And it took a little bit of interpreting for myself, because the picture that it shows to open up that little section there was 2 bigger flathead screwdrivers, and it needed a really tiny flathead screwdriver and a bigger one to open that up, and then just crank some pressure onto it, snap it back together, and it was good to go. Now the last part to put on that is like a rubber gasket seal, a vinyl seal, very flexible, and that just helps cover up the gap between the actual unit and the hatches themselves, because there's going to be a little variation from unit to unit. So that kind of snaps in place. It's just time consuming. You just kind of press it into place it was easy enough job, but each one probably took me about 10 minutes just to work that into place. So with that all ready to go, it was a matter of setting them up, putting them up in position, lining them up to the actual hatches, and drilling through the 4 mounting holes. Now I know last time I did this job, last video I did, link down in the description for that installation. I had a few people ask me what size screws did I use, how long were the screws. I'm not going to answer that directly, simply because the depth of your deck on your boat, if you're going to do this install, might be a little bit different than ours. Ours is a 3/4 inch piece of plywood that is of course laminated in fiberglass on both sides. And so the screws that I used were probably about 3/8 of an inch longer than the depth of the actual mount, and that worked good for me. As you can see, I drilled very slow, very deliberate, not to plow through the upper deck and make a hole, because I would have gotten in trouble for that. But just very, very slowly, because I only wanted to penetrate the underside of the fiberglass of that plywood core, and then just put the screws in slowly, deliberately, again, gently, by hand. Don't use a power tool for that. Don't use an impact drill or something to drive them through, because you can either strip that hole that you just did, and then you'll be in, you know, making more work for yourself, or potentially drive them right through. So here is the final product, the final install. Right now we have the screens pulled across. Anchor Girl did that just for fun and for effect. But as you can see how they work so marvelously. Look at that, slides super easy. Wow. And then that's the blackout screen. And then they're nice because they can be adjusted to, you know, basically 2/3 to half coverage if you want to black out part of it, but not all of it. Still let a little bit of light in. And as you can see, the way I orientated the installation was at having the screen part at the back, towards the back of the boat, because these hatches open like this towards the front. And so when they pitch up, if we are away or we want just some natural air, wind blowing through, especially when we're staying at a lock or something that we don't have shore power, so we can't put on the air conditioning, we'll have the hatches open a little bit, and then, you know, we can still have the screens somewhat dialed in a position that the air will still blow through, but we can block out a little bit of that hot summer sun that we're all looking forward to seeing a lot of this season. Or we can just close them right off. See that? So it is late afternoon, early evening. So the sun is high in the sky, even though it's a cloudy day. We're getting a lot of bright light. So I'm closing that. And I'm going to close that front one too. So just as a comparison, here's, well, you know, just one of them open out of the 3 that are in this general area. And then if I close that right off, wowzers, really makes it nice. Again, really good for trying to sleep in the morning and letting our little kitty cat sleep in too. So yeah, another project that I'm happy that we got knocked off today. Like I say, it's a perfect day early in the season for us, but something that we are going to be able to enjoy for the whole season. So yeah, really happy that we got this. And I want to say again, thank you to everybody at Dometic, because I had, I think, 3 or 4 people, different people that I had to go through the chain of command, as it were, to find this. And again, really happy that you guys were able to help me out, help us out, and get that to us so that we can enjoy this right at the beginning of the season. And again, as always, I hope you'll get a chance to look down in the description of this video, all my videos, because there's lots of information down there all the time, and take a look at my how I did it boat repairs and upgrades videos, because I got well over 100 of them now, because I keep posting so many projects from this boat, as well as our prior boat, our 330 Sundancer, and the one before that, the big 400 Stanbridge. Lots of stuff there, whether it's vacuum flush toilet repairs, electronics, electrical, plumbing, hatches. And don't forget also, look back in that, because this time last year when we first bought the boat, the first big job I had to do was to seal all the hatches, the actual hatches. I removed all of them, and there are 4 on this boat, so all hatches got removed and cleaned up and resealed, as well as I put all new gaskets on the port lights, and there's 6 of those on this boat. So yeah, if you want to check that out and see how I did that, I look forward to seeing your comments there, as well as on this one. Let me know what you think. Let me know if your boat already has something like this, or if this is something that you would be interested in doing. And if you are, and you got a beige hull, you better act quick, because the beige are no longer being produced. So it's only white, but I guess that's okay too. All right, as always, thank you. Look forward to your comments, and I will see you in the next one, my friends. Cheers.